Welcome back. Hundreds of people gathered at Arizona's state capitol Wednesday to celebrate Governor Jan Brewer's decision to veto what opponents were calling an anti-gay bill.
I think it's a great decision that makes the country proud.
During the governor's 3-minute address, she called the bill broadly worded and said it had the potential to create more problems than solutions. Democrats called that day a victory, but were quick to remind people the legislative session is not over.
We're going to hold those folks that voted for this accountable, and we're going to make sure that this type of bill never sees the light of day ever again in the state of Arizona.
Well, that is Democratic State Senator Steve Gallardo praising the Republican governor's decision to veto that bill. But a whole lot of people in Arizona are not as thrilled, including our guest right now. He is Republican State Senator Al Melvin. Senator Melvin, thanks for making time for us today on Newsmax TV.
It's great to be with you, J.D.
Well, Al, let's just get down to brass tacks. What do you believe this veto means for the people of Arizona? Is this, in your mind, a frontal assault on religious freedom?
Well, you know, this bill is a religious freedom bill, but the left took it and tried to turn it into a piece of legislation that fostered discrimination, and it's not true. And it's a shame that they did that, because no discrimination was ever intended.
Senator Al Melvin, you're running for governor, running for the Republican nomination in a crowded primary there. Let's talk about the Republican incumbent governor. There are those who said that even, and this is perhaps dangerous and symptomatic of our times, even conceding what you said to be true, the economic pressure brought to bear was such that it was inevitable that the governor had to bow to this pressure and veto the bill. What would a Governor Melvin have done when confronted by these business interests?
Well, thank you for asking the question, J.D. As a native of Arizona, you know our wonderful state here. What should have been done, in my view, is the governor should have led on this issue. She should have gotten out front and explained to the people that this was a religious freedom bill, and explained it to them, and that there was never any discrimination intended. It's like when you try to get major things done, such as Rick Perry in Texas with Texas-style tort reform. That didn't just happen. He got out in front on it and led, and that's what I believe she should have done in this case. And it wasn't done, and frankly, it was not presented in the smartest way in retrospect. But then again, it passed our House and Senate last year, only to have it vetoed by this governor last year, but she did it for different reasons. She did it as kind of a threat to get Medicaid expansion done. But there was never an uproar about the same bill last year. There was no uproar about it this year as it was moving through committees. It was only once it was voted on in the House and Senate and that it passed that the left swung into action with this hysteria. And frankly, J.D., I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative Reagan Republican. I'm from the right, but this vitriol and extreme reaction from the left is so sad. The emails coming into my office and other Republican senators, voicemail messages, and live on telephone, the worst words and combination of words you've ever read or heard in your life. I've never seen anything like it in all my years, and And granted, I'm coming at the issue from the right and not the left.
Well, let's continue on that, Senator Melvin. I'm joined in studio by Dave Padden, who is a senior editor at Newsmax magazine. He's got a couple of questions for you.
Senator, given that vitriol that you referred to, I wanted to look at this issue in a bit of a larger context. We've seen where with Obamacare, where the administration has come in, has ordered Catholic organizations, other faith-based organizations, to provide contraception that they disagree with on faith-based reasons, even abortifacients. So that, and considering the backlash in Arizona, I'm curious your take. Are we looking at part of a broader attack across the board on civil liberties and on religion and faith in America?
I think so. You know, and from my own experience, for instance, I'm a retired Navy captain, 30 years in the Naval Reserve, and the pressure that was brought to bear to get rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell in the Department of Defense. There's a relentless assault on all the pillars of traditional society, including the Boy Scouts. I think J.D. is an Eagle Scout like me, and the pressure that was brought to bear to allow gay leadership. Also, just the relentless attack on the marriage as defined between one man and one woman in a traditional family. It goes on, and it's relentless. And Obamacare is just the latest version of it up until this reaction to this religious freedom bill here in Arizona.
So, Senator, a quick follow-up on that. Why do you think it was that the progressive forces in Arizona were so successful, both politically and in their communications, of couching this issue as essentially a civil rights issue? I mean, they were practically hearkening back to Jim Crow. And yet it seemed to work politically. Why? Well,
I think, again, as I stated earlier to J.D., we should have done better planning on this. For instance, several years ago, we got a ballot proposition passed by the efforts of evangelicals, Catholics, and Mormons. We worked months on that ballot measure that defined marriage as between one man and one woman. It took time to do that, but in the end, the voters voted for it in a substantial manner. In this case, it worked its way through the House and Senate, but there, in retrospect, one could say, the governor did not get out and help lead on the measure, and we could have done a better job. But on the other hand, I'm pleased that people like yourselves are having me on the air. The Heritage Foundation has come out in defense of this. Rush Limbaugh, I hear today, is doing that. Mike Huckabee and others. The Catholic bishops in Arizona were in favor and behind this bill.
Well, State Senator Al Melvin, we appreciate your words for us today. Thanks for your time. We'll continue to monitor the situation there and, of course, the upcoming Republican gubernatorial primary to see what may happen there. Thanks very much. Still to come, your chance to ask us questions or